What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. This is Exposé coming to you live from Lagos, Nigeria, every Monday on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook simultaneously. And I'm your regular host, Akinyemi. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge.
Welcome. This is Exposé, your Monday tonic, and I'm your regular host, Akinyemi. We've been discussing cardiovascular health in general and hypertension in particular. And we have looked at 8 predisposing factors that can make someone to be prone to developing hypertension. And we are building a strategy around those 8 predisposing factors to help us either to prevent or to reverse hypertension. So far, we have discussed 3 of those strategies. Number 1, we have looked at the spiritual factors that we need to address. Number 2, we have looked at the psycho-emotional factors that we need to address. And number 3, we have looked at the nutritional factors that must be addressed. Today, we are going a step further. We are going to be looking at more factors begging for attention if our goal is to reverse hypertension or to prevent hypertension. So we are looking at number 4 today, the integrity of our blood vessels. The integrity of our blood vessels. Because when we talk about cardiovascular diseases, we are talking about diseases affecting the heart as well as the blood vessels. And so if the blood vessels are compromised, they will contribute to problems in the cardiovascular system. That's why the integrity of the blood vessels matter. We have arteries, we have all kinds of veins and all kinds of tiny capillaries, blood vessels all around our body, and blood circulates through all of these vessels. If any of the vessels is compromised anywhere, that can impact on our cardiovascular health. Principally, one of the things that happens to blood vessels is they can become clogged. C-L-O-G-G-E-D, clogged. In other words, there are deposits in the interior of the blood vessels that begins to narrow those blood vessels. And when they become clogged, the passage in the blood vessel becomes very narrow, so blood circulation is very difficult. Number 2, the blood vessels become hardened, and when they become hardened, they lose elasticity. They are not able to dilate or constrict, as the case may be. And once that elasticity is lost, that blood vessel has been compromised. Another problem that can happen is that ultimately, those blood vessels can become blocked altogether. And so whatever tissue or gland or organ that particular blood vessel that has been blocked is servicing, that tissue, that gland, that organ no longer receives blood supply. Therefore, no oxygen supply, no nutrient supply, and that tissue, gland, or organ begins to die off because it is now starving because there is no more food supply. So blocked blood vessels can lead to serious organ problems. Okay? Then another thing that can happen to blood vessels is that they can actually become fragile. They can become weak and they can burst. And when they burst, then there can be internal bleeding. That can also lead to another very serious problem. So the integrity of our blood vessels is very, very important. Now, I believe our technical crew will be able to show you some images right now regarding blood vessels that are clogged. Okay, you will see plaque deposit. Plaque is typically made up of cholesterol plus some inorganic minerals like calcium and what have you. It's like concrete. When you mix cement and sand and gravel or granite and you make concrete and then you pour it, after some time it hardens. It becomes very hard. It concretizes. And then it becomes a very difficult thing to deal with. Such deposits can also be made in the interior of our blood vessels. And you see the images. Normally, when you see a good blood vessel, it should be very round like a pipe, and it should be hollow at the center, and blood should be able to flow through easily. But gradually, deposits can begin to, be made in the interior of the blood vessels, and those deposits can begin to narrow the blood vessels in the first instance, and may ultimately block those blood vessels, and then that can cause an instant problem in the individual that is experiencing that. So how then do we restore the integrity of our blood vessels? The first thing is to unclog the blood vessels. You unclog it. I'll talk to you about how to do that. Somebody actually sent a question recently about how do we unclog blocked arteries or blood vessels. Now, so the first thing is to unclog it or unblock it. The second one is to restore the flexibility or the elasticity. Of course, naturally, when you unclog, you are also automatically restoring the elasticity, and you are opening up that blood vessel so that blood can flow better and easily. The heart doesn't have to push hard for blood to course through those blood vessels. And the third thing is stop re-clogging your blood vessels. See, everything surrounds that clogging and clogging thing. And then another thing to do is to strengthen the blood vessels. There are materials that the body uses like mesh, like when you want to cast concrete. It's not just about the cement, the sand, and the granite. You also need to put some iron rod, kind of to strengthen it. You form an iron mesh to strengthen the concrete. When you see deckings, there is iron inside, like a mesh that holds everything together to increase the strength of that concrete or that decking. The same way, there is a mesh that also strengthens our blood vessels, okay? Things like collagen, for example, and all these things are necessary to strengthen the blood vessels so that they cannot be easily bruised, easily inflamed, or become so fragile that they can burst at any time. So that strengthening of the blood vessel is also important. Let me actually begin from that aspect. Now, there are certain minerals and trace minerals that actually help to strengthen our blood vessels. There are also certain phytonutrients, plant nutrients. Phyto is the Greek for plant. So phytonutrients means plant nutrients that actually help in strengthening our blood vessels. Now, one of them is a bioflavonoid that is called Rutin. It is spelled R-U-T-I-N, Rutin. Rutin is a bioflavonoid, and it is usually found in the peel of citrus fruits, like the peel of grapefruits, the peel of oranges, and what have you. You find a lot of Rutin bioflavonoid in the peel. And normally, scientists would extract Rutin and they can formulate it into capsules in the form of supplements. So you can actually get those supplements and take them. They help to strengthen our blood vessels. Another way is when you peel your orange, you peel the green or yellow outer part and you leave the white layer. Okay, you leave the white layer in place, and you can then cut the orange along with the white layer and juice everything together. You are going to have a lot of Rutin in that orange juice. Of course, it will taste bitter. It won't be as sweet as your regular orange juice that you buy in the supermarket. It will be a little bit bitter, but that bitterness is very medicinal and it is very rich in Rutin, and Rutin helps you in strengthening your blood vessels. Another trace mineral that helps in strengthening blood vessel is copper, C-O-P-P-E-R. It's a trace mineral that we need. Of course, too much of it can be a problem, but we do need a very tiny amount of copper as part of our nutritional factors to help our body in many things, particularly in strengthening our blood vessels. You just need about 2 to 3 milligrams of copper per day, okay? And that helps to make sure your blood vessels are strengthened. Of course, vitamin C is also very important in building collagen, all right? And so all those nutrients, when we eat correctly, when we balance our nutritional factors, we are able to get all these nutritional elements that the body needs to strengthen our blood vessels, so the blood vessels don't form into what is known as aneurysm or ballooning of the blood vessels because they are weak and fragile, and then they don't burst easily and cause internal bleeding, all right? So that is the first part of restoring the integrity of your blood vessel. strengthening your blood vessels by taking the nutritional factors, the nutrients, the minerals, the vitamins, the phytonutrients required to build strong blood vessels. And today, I have mentioned Rutin, I have mentioned copper, I have mentioned vitamin C, and then collagen. These are nutritional factors to help you strengthen your blood vessels so that they don't bruise easily, they don't burst easily, so they are strong and they're able to maintain their integrity. We're going to go on a short break right now. And when I'm back, I'll be talking to you about how to unclog your blood vessels and how not to re-clog your blood vessels so that your blood vessels can dilate easily and constrict easily so that it can regulate your BP as the case may be. Don't go away. I'll be back shortly.
What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge. I believe you've been having a terrific time with me on Exposé with Tony Akinyemi. We have great resources that will bless your life available to you on healthy living and many other life subjects. We have various platforms where you can obtain materials for your blessing. You can obtain some of our work, our books, particularly on Amazon.com. How to Regain and Retain Your Health is a book title that I highly recommend. It's available in digital format, Kindle edition, as well as in printed version. We also have juices and smoothies for healing, health, and pleasure. You can also find these items at another website, familabooks.com, Famila books.com. And for those of you who are in Nigeria, you can reach us at the Shepherd Store, 18 Shogunle Street, off Mobolaji Bank Anthony Way, behind HFS Place, to get our materials. We have over 600 recorded audio CDs, DVDs, VCDs, and MP3s on various subjects. All these things that I teach on Exposé are already available in their complete format. How to reverse hypertension naturally, how to reverse diabetes naturally, how to reverse arthritis naturally, and many other wonderful titles. I encourage you to visit this website, Amazon.com, familabooks.com, or TSF bookstores in Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria, and you will be blessed reading those materials and sharing them with your friends and family. Thank you once again. God bless you.
Welcome back. This is Exposé, your Monday tonic. I'm your regular host, Tony Akinyemi. Don't forget that what we need is not more medication, but more education. That is why this platform has been created to educate the public about how to take care of themselves. DIY. In other words, do it yourself. There are many things we can do at home, by ourselves, for ourselves, to help to improve our wellness quotient. And one of the things that we're sharing today, we're sharing the 8 strategies for preventing hypertension and other cardiovascular diseases, as well as for reversing them if they already exist. And we're looking today at factor number 4, or group of factors number 4, and that is restoring the integrity of our blood vessels. And we have looked at number 1 part of that, strengthen your blood vessels with certain nutrients. A phytonutrient that is obtainable from the skin of citrus fruits, oranges, grapefruits, lemon, lime, and what have you, tangerine, that is Rutin, R-U-T-I-N. And Rutin, by the way, is also very useful for those who have hemorrhoids. Because when people have hemorrhoids, the hemorrhoidal tissues actually sometimes get inflamed, bruised when the poo-poo is hard or when there is watery stool, and sometimes it bleeds. You see people going to the toilet and then they have fresh blood on their stool because the hemorrhoidal tissues have been bruised and it's bleeding. Rutin, incidentally, also helps to strengthen even the rich blood vessels in the hemorrhoidal tissues such that bleeding can be addressed. It serves also as an astringent. An astringent is something that helps to shrink, anything that is swollen or inflamed, and it helps to shrink it back to normal. That is an astringent. And so Rutin also can serve as an astringent for hemorrhoidal tissues. Now, the hemorrhoidal tissues in the anus are very rich in tiny, tiny blood vessels, and that's why they can be easily bruised and they can bleed readily. So when you take a lot of Rutin or you juice your orange with the white of the skin, you have a lot of Rutin to strengthen your blood vessels. And when your blood vessels are strengthened, then you can prevent the bleeding or the bruising or the inflammation of the blood vessels. And then vitamin C helps in building collagen, as well as when you also take other nutritional factors like copper, which is very important in strengthening your blood vessels. The second aspect of restoring the integrity of your blood vessel is in unclogging blood vessels. Now, there was a particular person, an elderly person, who was having some cardiovascular problems, and the children took him to the hospital, a teaching hospital, and they did all the tests and found out that a particular artery, a big blood vessel, was about 70% or so blocked. Only 30% space left for blood to flow through, and that was what was causing the man's problem. So they wanted to do for him bypass surgery. That is the medical approach to solving that problem. A bypass surgery is like a particular pipe is blocked, okay, or almost blocked. So what you do is you create an alternative route. You create another route where blood will flow through so that you bypass this one that is almost blocked. That is called bypass surgery. They can take a blood vessel from the person's leg, okay, and use it to create an alternative route, or the Americans call it route, an alternative route for blood to flow through to reach its target. Maybe the blood is supposed to be flowing into a particular organ, but the blood vessel is almost blocked, so that organ is not getting enough blood supply. So nutrients is not reaching the particular organ. Oxygen is not reaching the organ sufficiently. So you want to create another pathway so that blood can flow through that for rich supply of oxygen and nutrients to that particular target organ. That is called bypass surgery. To do a bypass surgery in the US, I'm told, costs nothing less than $45,000 US for one procedure. 45,000. That is apart from other accessory costs and incidental costs that we follow. Post-surgical, care. That will also cost a lot of money. You cannot put an estimate on that until a person is there. I pray you don't have to do that. Now, so they wanted to do this thing for this particular man. I think he was in his 70s at the time. And so the children were looking for the money to do that particular surgery, bypass surgery. So when they told me, I said, well, can you give me 90 days and let me change his diet and walk around it and see how we can unclog this artery? And the children, agreed. So I put up a diet plan for the man and placed him on, smoothies, vegetable juices, vegetable salad, raw nuts, and I reduced his cooked food. I removed so many things from his diet: cow's milk, red meat, fast food, fried food, MSG, processed meat, processed food. I removed all of those things from his diet, and the man began to follow it religiously. Believe me, within 90 days, 3 months, they went for the appointment, for the bypass surgery, and I told them before they open him up, please tell them to do another test to confirm the state of his arteries before they do the bypass surgery. And when they went after 3 months and they conducted the test again, they found out at the end of the day that the blood vessels had actually opened up 60% now, and that it was only 40% blocked. Now, I think it was 70% blocked before. Now it was about it was 70% blocked before. Now it was about 40% or so blocked, which means about 30% has opened up again. There's now 60% space for blood to flow through. I imagine if he does that for another 3 months, that the arteries will probably be 80 to 90% opened up. So that is the power of nutrients in unclogging arteries. Of course, there are certain supplements that can also help in unclogging clogged arteries. I'll give you some example of them. Primarily among them is what I call Proteolytic enzymes. Proteolytic enzymes are protein digesting enzymes. These are enzymes that digest protein. But when you use proteolytic enzymes to unclog your arteries, you do not take them along with your food. Some people make the mistake when they are taking these enzymes, they take them with food. When you take those enzymes in capsules along with your meal, what it will do is that it will digest the protein in your food, in your stomach, and it will not go anywhere else to do any other thing. It will not achieve the purpose that you want to achieve. When you are using proteolytic enzymes to unclog arteries, what you do is that you take them on an empty stomach, at least 1 hour before a meal, or about 2 hours after a meal. So they go into an empty stomach. When the enzymes get into the stomach, there is no protein in your stomach, no food in your stomach to digest. They get absorbed through your digestive tract into your blood vessels. And as they are circulating around the blood vessels, anywhere there is plaque deposits, they digest it out of the way gradually. And that is how the enzymes help to unclog your arteries. That is number one way to unclog your arteries. It's a gradual process. It can take 3 months, it can take 6 months, it can take 1 year. But as you do it gradually, you get all those arteries unclogged. Then you may ask me again, give us examples of proteolytic enzymes. Number one will be serrapeptase. Another one is called bromelain. Another one is papain. Another one is serrazymes. Okay, now, serrapeptase is obtained from yeast, and it's a protein digesting enzyme. It's available in capsules or caplets. Then bromelain is obtainable from pineapple, protein digesting enzyme from pineapple. Now, when you get your pineapple and you peel your pineapple, when you cut your pineapple, there is something that looks like a rod, a hard core at the center of your pineapple. That hard core is very rich in bromelain. Or the pineapple head, the one you cut off that is normally planted, okay, that has spikes like that or pines like that, that particular one, when you cut it off your pineapple and you peel off all the spikes, peel them off, there's a small stub that is left. That stub is very rich in serrapeptase, in bromelain. You can cut it into small pieces, put it in your blender, add a little water to it and blend it, okay, and then drink it on an empty stomach, and that gives you a lot of bromelain. Or you can just buy bromelain capsules and take them on an empty stomach, and that helps to unclog the arteries. Then there is papain, another proteolytic enzyme. Papain is obtainable from papaya or pawpaw. You know, when your pawpaw is mature but not yet ripe, it is crunchy. When you are chewing it, it's crow. When it is mature but unripe, okay, and you peel your pawpaw and eat it that way, it's very high in papain. So you can begin to eat those mature but unripe pawpaw on an empty stomach, 30 minutes, 1 hour before your meals, and that will help to unclog your arteries. And then, of course, we have serrazymes as another type of proteolytic enzyme. All of these things are available in capsules in the form of supplements, and they are OTC, over the counter. They don't typically require any prescription for you to obtain them. Just follow the direction of the manufacturer on the bottle, and that will be good enough. Don't go away. I'll still be back to continue this conversation on how to unclog our arteries and how not to reclog them in order to restore and maintain the integrity of our blood vessels.
What we need is not more medication, but more education, because the best prescription is knowledge.
This is Exposé, and I'm your regular host, Tony Akinyemi. This has been brought to you by the Shepherd's Flock International Church. Now we're talking about strategy number 4 to prevent or reverse hypertension and other cardiovascular diseases. And we're talking about restoring the integrity of our blood vessels, unclogging clogged blood vessels. I've given you one big strategy for doing that, and that is by using proteolytic enzymes such as serrapeptase, serrazymes, bromelain, or papain. These are protein digesting enzymes that should be taken on an empty stomach 1 hour before a meal or 2 hours after a meal, so that can help us to digest out of the way all the plaque in our blood vessels. It is a slow and steady process that may take months for you to achieve, so you have to be patient as you are doing this. All right? And then there's another way to unclog the arteries, and that is through chelation. Chelation is using chelating agents to chelate. The word chelate is C-H-E-L-A-T-E. To chelate means to grab and pull out. Grab as with a claw. You have claws, you use the claws to grab that thing and pull it out. That is chelation. Okay, there are some chelating agents such as DMSA or EDTA. These are all chelating agents. They are available intravenously, where they pass it like a drip. A medical professional will pass it into the body, into the blood vessel as a drip. The person takes it intravenously to help chelate or remove all those clogged arteries, the plaque deposits in the clogged arteries. Or it can be taken orally as capsules, supplements. The intravenous approach is faster. The oral approach is slower, but both of them work. You just need to take EDTA on an empty stomach as well, usually 2 capsules in the morning, 2 capsules in the afternoon, 2 capsules in the evening, 1 hour before meals for several weeks or months, and that will help to gradually chelate any plaque deposit in the blood vessels. That is chelation. Or it can be done intravenously, and that will open up any blood vessel that is almost getting blocked or that is clogged up. And once that is done, you find out that the blood vessels open up and the person can begin to have better flow and better flexibility or elasticity of the blood vessels. And once the integrity of the blood vessel is restored, there is no varicosed blood vessels, there is no inflamed blood vessels, there is no aneurysm, there is no weak blood vessel, and there is no hardened blood vessel, there is no narrowed blood vessel. The integrity of the blood vessel has been restored. And once that is done, you can be sure that you are back to normalcy as far as your cardiovascular health is concerned. And so, when you remove those plaque from your blood vessel, you have unclogged it. That's number 1, you have achieved. Number 2, you have also restored the elasticity, and then you have removed the hardness. Then you have removed the narrowness. So you see, many things are achieved at the same time when arteries are unclogged. The next thing you do thereafter is stop re-clogging your arteries. Because you clogged it before through your diet and lifestyle, you have now unclogged it using the strategy we have deployed. Of course, in combination with the nutritional factors that we discussed in the last episode. In other words, you change your diet completely. You stop eating the things that can reclog your arteries, such as margarine, such as, processed food, processed meat, and all the foods that increase inflammation in the body and all of that. You remove them, and then you substitute them with wholesome, health-giving food, particularly fresh fruits, raw vegetables in the form of juices, freshly made, smoothies, nut milk, vegetable salad, and what have you. These should constitute a major part of your daily dietary fare. That way, you don't reclog your blood vessels again because you have now unclogged it. That's a very, very beautiful strategy. Now, let me talk about a few things that some experts have said along this line of our cardiovascular health regarding our blood vessels. Dr. Linus Pauling, as well as Dr. Joseph Mapola, have some beautiful statements to make. I just want to read to you what they have to say. Now, Dr. Linus Pauling was a professor of chemistry, and he is the only person in the whole world that has won the Nobel Prize twice alone. When I say alone, this is what I mean. Sometimes a Nobel Prize is given jointly to 2 people or 3 people. So the 2 of them will jointly win that Nobel Prize. But in his own case, the first time he won the Nobel Prize, he won it alone. It was not shared with anybody. The second time he was awarded the Nobel Prize, he won it alone again. And he's the only individual in the whole history of humanity that has won Nobel Prize twice from my research, from the records available to me. I mean, if you have information that is more current than this one, please let me know. But so far, what I know is that he is the only one that has won the Nobel Prize twice. The first one, he won it for his work in chemistry as a scientist. The second one, he won that Nobel Prize for peace. Okay? Now, he was the one that, brought to the fore what we now know as orthomolecular medicine. Orthomolecular medicine is the use of mega doses of vitamins and minerals to treat disease along with dietary change rather than pharmaceuticals. That's called orthomolecular medicine. You can Google it and read more about it so you can have an understanding. Professor Linus Pauling was the one who introduced that concept of orthomolecular medicine. He introduced how to use niacin, vitamin B3, vitamin C, and various other vitamins to treat psychiatric disorders such as schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and what have you, as well as intravenous vitamin C in the treatment of cancer and many other degenerative diseases. This is what he has to say regarding using nutrients for cardiovascular health. He particularly recommends 3. Very important. The first one is vitamin C, the second one is lysine, and the third one is proline. Now, lysine and proline are amino acids, proteins, okay, special types of protein. We have about 12 essential amino acids that we must obtain from our diet. 2 of them, we have proline, we have lysine, in combination with vitamin C and rosehip oil. Rosehip oil, by the way, is very rich in vitamin C as well. So it's talking about the combination of vitamin C, proline, and lysine to form a synergistic effect, to produce a synergistic effect that when those things are taken, they actually help in preventing cardiovascular problems. That's as far as Professor Linus Pauling is concerned. Actually, there used to be a supplement that was called Heart Plus. It's no longer available because the company that produces it has closed down. They used to combine those nutrients, rosehip oil with vitamin C, with L-proline and L-lysine, and they form it into one supplement called Heart Plus. And it used to be very, very wonderful. One of the supplements that I have used over the years for many people, and it has worked wonders. But unfortunately, no longer available. You have to obtain the different components. You have to obtain vitamin C separately. You have to obtain proline separately, lysine separately, rosehip oil separately, and take them together in order to get that same effect. But those nutrients are very, very important. So that is as far as the integrity of the blood vessels is concerned. And once we get that straightened up, we can always sort out our cardiovascular problems in that regard. Now, I have seen many people who are trying to normalize their BP. And they say, okay, I have dealt with the psycho-emotional issues. I've dealt with stress. I've reduced my workload, my schedule. I sleep longer now. I used to sleep for 4 hours. Now I'm sleeping for 6 hours. And I am exercising now and this and that. And my BP has still not come down the way I want it to come down. What you must understand is that there are several factors contributing to your elevated BP. The fact that you have corrected the psycho-emotional part does not mean that it will just crash overnight. Supposing your blood vessels are clogged and you are trying to unclog it. Now, that doesn't happen in 1 week. That doesn't happen maybe in 1 month. So even though you have dealt with the other aspects, you have to be patient to allow your body to unclog your blood vessels through the various strategies that I have mentioned today. Once that happens, over a period of maybe 3 to 6 months or even 1 year, and those blood vessels open up thoroughly, then you will see your BP coming down. But from my own experience, working with people, I have found out that typically the average is about 90 days, 3 months. After 3 months, most people will find their BP normalizing. Now, when you start all these strategies that I am mentioning to you, please, it doesn't mean you should stop the use of your medication. Don't stop the use of your medication abruptly. Implement these strategies and then begin to take your BP, every day for the next 90 days. Write the time, the date, and then your BP reading and your resting pulse. That helps you to monitor the progression. Initially, you will see fluctuation. Today it goes up, tomorrow it's down, up and down. Then it begins to taper, and ultimately it settles and stabilizes. That is when you begin to, first of all, work with your doctor to help you reduce the dosage. Okay? The dose of the medication that you are using, you reduce the dose, and then gradually you are weaned off. Because if you don't go off ultimately, what happens is that your BP is now normal, but you are still taking medication to force it down, and then you can go into hypotension, which is equally not good. So this is how it works. I hope today's conversation has been very meaningful, and I hope you made sense of it. Again, let's receive your feedback. Let's hear your questions. Let's hear your suggestions. Give us your ideas, and help to tell your friends and neighbors to subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the notification button so that you can always be notified when we come on air. Like us also on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. And every Monday by 8 p.m. Nigerian time, you'll be with us to enjoy this unveiling of truth for your total liberation and your wellness. We thank you once again for finding time to join us. Again, it has been brought to you by the Shepherd's Flock International Church, and I'm your regular host, Tony Akinyemi. By the time we are done with this series on hypertension, I have a lineup of experts that I want to interview. I also have quite a number of people who have been using these strategies that I am sharing with you and have found wonderful results, and they will be glad to share their stories with us so you can learn from them and hear from them what God has done in their lives through the pieces of information that they have received. Don't forget, what we need is not more medication, but more education. And the best prescription is knowledge. God bless you.
My name is Olanike Aladeshuyi, a graduate of Rafa Institute of Healthy Living, a school run by Reverend Tony Akinyemi, where we are taught how to take care of our health using basic healthy living principles. My coming into contact with the school has changed my life for the better. Prior to that time, I had been diagnosed of arthritis. I had pains all over me. I had difficulty in breathing. But since I decided to take the principles taught in the school seriously and I followed them, I discovered that my health has improved. I am free of pain. My breathing has stabilized to such an extent that I can run a gym. Can you beat that? So, I want to invite you. Come, join us at Rafa Institute of Healthy Living. Let's learn together how to reverse supposedly irreversible diseases using nutrition and lifestyle. All are basic principles. Your life will not remain the same again.